Have you ever had one of those difficult days when it feels like life is challenging your composure? Maybe your car broke down in the middle of a busy day, or you received a failing grade on an important exam, or even perhaps you had to face the loss of someone close to you. Such moments can be jarring, but they're just part of life, and we can't control what happens to us, but we can control how we react, and it's this ability to respond in a resilient manner that really shows our mental strength. So how can we be more prepared for these unexpected moments? Fortunately, the Stoic philosophers have left us a wealth of teachings that focus on how to be ready for these tough situations by improving our ability to handle pressures and challenges no matter what comes our way. So with that in mind, in this video, we'll go through 5 Stoic habits for building exceptional mental toughness and resilience, and also we'll discuss practical ways to integrate them into our daily lives. Number 1. Remember you will die. You might be asking, how can thinking about death possibly relate to mental toughness? Well, it's not as grim as it sounds. In the concept of memento mori, which is Latin for remember you will die, the Stoics argued that when we're aware that our time is limited, the risks and pressures we face seem less daunting in the grand scheme of things. As Marcus Aurelius once said, you could leave life right now. Let that determine what you do and say and think. In this quote, Marcus Aurelius emphasizes the idea that knowing we'll die, we become more conscious about our choices and actions. For example, often we're faced with life-changing decisions. It could be about switching careers, starting a family, or maybe launching a business. These big choices can be nerve-wracking, and sometimes we freeze up. But when we remember our lives gonna end at some point, that fear starts to loosen its hold. We become quicker in making choices. It's like suddenly having a tool that clears up what really deserves our focus. The awareness of our mortality also can profoundly impact how we interact with others. Knowing that our time with loved ones is limited can make us more present in our relationships. This is another facet of mental toughness, as it requires the emotional strength to set aside ego and grudges or distractions to genuinely connect with people. A practical way to incorporate memento mori into our daily lives is to use a simple reminder. Could be something small, like a coin or note, to always remind us of our mortality. You could put it somewhere you'll see it often, and every time you see it, let it remind you to focus on what really matters. Number 2. Practice radical acceptance. Marcus Aurelius once said, accept the things to which fate binds you, and love the people with whom fate brings you together, but do so with all your heart. So radical acceptance is about fully acknowledging what's happening around us, even the things we wish weren't happening. It doesn't mean we have to like it, but we stop resisting it. Stoicism teaches us that we can only control our own thoughts, actions, and reactions. Everything else is outside of our control. When we attempt to exert control over uncontrollable circumstances, we create unnecessary stress and disappointment for ourselves. Instead of wasting energy on things out of our hands, we channel it into actionable steps. This strengthens our ability to cope with challenges and bounce back faster from setbacks. Stoicism offers a concept known as amor fati, which means love of fate. It's about accepting whatever comes your way, good or bad, and finding something valuable in it. According to the Stoics, everything happens for a reason, even the tough things. For instance, consider the unfortunate event of losing a job. That's hard for anyone, but instead of getting lost in how bad it feels, radical acceptance helps us see it as just another part of life. Having accepted this fact, our attention can shift to practical next steps, such as updating our resume or start networking for new employment opportunities. Also, this experience may offer a chance for self-improvement. Contemplating the reasons behind the job loss may provide insights into areas for future improvement. In essence, radical acceptance fortifies us with a form of mental resilience. While it doesn't negate the presence of challenges, it equips us to meet them with a balanced and strong mind. Number 3. Embrace discomfort. The Stoic philosopher Seneca once said, difficulties strengthen the mind as labor does the body. It's fair to ask, why would anyone willingly put themselves in uncomfortable situations? Well, in the Stoic tradition, discomfort isn't something we should shy away from. It's actually a tool for mental growth. We can think of it as a gym for the mind. Just as lifting weights strengthens your muscles, facing discomfort head-on strengthens your mental toughness. It's not a punishment, but more like leveling up, similar to turning up the difficulty level in a video game to get better at it. Life has its share of good times and tough times, doesn't it? But instead of dreading the hard moments, what if we view them as chances to grow? Stoicism suggests turning those setbacks into learning opportunities. Doing that regularly helps us bounce back quicker, which is basically what being mentally tough is all about. So how can we put this into action? One approach comes from what the Stoics call voluntary discomfort. For instance, you could sign up to give a public speech, or perhaps join a martial arts class if you have never been to one. The point is to get used to the idea of being uncomfortable, so that we are better prepared for whatever life throws at us. When we actively seek challenges, we start to see some immediate benefits. Overcoming an obstacle gives you a sense of, I can do this, boosting our self-confidence. That confidence can reduce our stress and anxiety when we face new challenges, setting up a positive cycle of growing mental strength. Now, it's good to remember that discomfort is usually short-lived. The nerves before a big talk, they pass. But the mental muscle you build, that sticks around. So how can we start challenging ourselves a little each day? One simple idea is cold showers. It's like a mini test for our mental strength. Sure, that first burst of cold water is a shock, but soon your body adjusts. And that small act can help build mental strength over time. Number 4, practice daily reflection. He who does not reflect on his actions is not worthy of himself. Marcus Aurelius. Being mentally tough isn't just about handling tough times. It's also about getting ready for future challenges. One really good way to do that is by taking some time each day to think about what happened, whether it's good or bad. When we think about our day like this, it helps us take responsibility for what we do. For example, let's say you've made a mistake. You can either ignore it, or you can think about why it happened and how to avoid it next time. Ignoring it doesn't help you grow, but thinking it over does. Being mentally strong also means handling stress well. Thinking about your day can help with that too. When you remember the times you felt stressed, you start to see patterns. Knowing these patterns helps you with figuring out better ways to deal with stress in the future. A practical way to integrate daily reflection into our lives is to write down our thoughts at the end of the day. It doesn't have to be a full-on diary. Even a few bullet points on your phone can be a great start. Marcus Aurelius used to write down his thoughts in what later became the book Meditations. He did this as a way to analyze his thoughts, building both his mental and ethical fortitude. Number 5, embrace virtue. Stoicism teaches us that virtue is the only true good, emphasizing that the most valuable pursuit in life is to be a good person. This focus on virtue is intrinsically linked to mental toughness, as it provides a moral compass that guides us through life's challenges. The Stoic philosopher Epictetus once said, "First, say to yourself what you would be, and then do what you have to do." The 4 Stoic cardinal virtues serve as the pillars of a good life and are integral to mental resilience. So wisdom helps us make better choices. Courage allows us to face challenges head-on. Justice guides us to treat others fairly. And temperance helps us exercise self-control. Virtue serves as an ethical guideline in our decision-making process. When we are faced with a tough choice, instead of panicking or making rash decisions, we can ask ourselves which choice is most in line with our virtues, which will less likely to be impulsive or harmful choice. There are many long-term benefits to aligning our actions with virtues. When we are virtuous, we are more likely to have strong relationships, to be successful in our careers, and to live fulfilling lives. For example, you could lie on your resume or cheat on a test. In the short term, lying might give you an advantage. However, in the long term, lying will always lead to problems. Making the honest choice may be difficult in the moment, but living a virtuous life ultimately reduces stress, anxiety, and depression. And each time you make a difficult but ethical decision, you strengthen your mental resilience, preparing yourself to tackle life's inevitable challenges with a calm and focused mind.